Evaluating source credibility is one of the most essential academic skills you can learn. Not only will it enhance your success throughout your college program, but also it will empower you in your professional careers and throughout your personal life. Especially in today's society, we encounter information from all sorts of sources, so much so that it is often overwhelming. In the information age, all sorts of individuals now have the power to produce content and publish it online for the world to see. This is why evaluating source credibility is such an important skill to learn. If we accept information without considering the credibility of our source, then anyone can point to any article and claim it as proof to support any argument of any kind. This is why the Greek philosopher Plato was so alarmed by the sophists, who taught and practiced rhetoric without regard for the truth, even in criminal court cases. Plato was critical of the sophists in the same way many people today are critical of corrupt prosecutors and defense attorneys who aim for winning court cases and advancing their own self-interests instead of determining truth and serving justice. Plato considered rhetoric to be a dangerous practice of manipulating others, and it wasn't until his student Aristotle established a form of rhetoric based on ethics and logic that he began to appreciate its value. Plato's student Aristotle recognized his teacher's concerns, but he also recognized that teaching rhetoric would equip people with the skills they needed to guard against such manipulation. He recognized that by revealing the secrets of the trade, people would understand how manipulation works. At the same time, he showed his students how to make ethical appeals to defend logical arguments so that society's truth seekers, who have the best interest of humanity at heart, could protect the population and dissuade them from falling under the spell of a catchy slogan or meaningless turn of phrase that sounds appealing but lacks actual basis in the truth. Aristotle systematized the study of rhetoric, which he broke into three branches: ethos, pathos, and logos. He added logos to ensure that arguments would always be based on truth and reason, at least to the extent that that would be possible. Some arguments are developed based on moral belief systems or the best science available at the time. So, while being based on absolute truths is not always possible, arguments have to at least be logically consistent. Logos was one of the branches Aristotle added that pleased Plato, that assured him Aristotle wasn't promoting the same mind control taught by the sophists. The branch ethos refers to the ethics of the speaker's character. In a way, this branch blends with the logos branch of rhetoric because ethos refers to how someone demonstrates that their argument is based on truth and reason and not on deceitful manipulation. External ethos refers to the speaker's level of authority on a topic. For example, in debates about health-related issues, a medical doctor has more authority than a stand-up comedian. Granted, the professional background of a source alone should not determine an argument's value. Doctors and other experts can disagree with one another, and sometimes experts are wrong. Further, non-experts, like journalists, can sometimes provide valuable information. But the expertise of a source does play a role in how persuasive they are. Because of this, in college, most of your sources should be experts in the field, and this is why databases like Academic Search Ultimate will be so useful throughout your higher education. Internal ethos refers to how a writer or speaker builds credibility within their argument. To persuade others, a rhetorician has to convince their audience that they are an ethical human being with other people's best interests at heart. Of course, they have their own view to promote, but to ensure others that they explore the issue with an open mind, they must demonstrate within their argument that they accurately understand other perspectives. For example, someone making a pro-choice argument must demonstrate that they understand the concerns of the pro-life crowd. If they characterize the pro-life crowd as opposing women's rights altogether, they are being unethical because they are not accurately recognizing the reasons most people support pro-life legislation. So, instead of misrepresenting them, they must emphasize that they understand their opponent's desire to protect life. Likewise, someone making a pro-life argument should not characterize the pro-choice crowd as baby killers. They need to demonstrate that they understand the pro-choicers' concern with women having control over their lives and offer compassion to rape victims and women with pregnancy complications. So, in persuasive papers, writers should certainly not give equal time to multiple viewpoints. They should focus on their own argument, but to build credibility, they have to demonstrate that they accurately understand other perspectives. To build credibility within their argument, rhetoricians also have to build from points of agreement. They should avoid attacking opponents, and when they do ridicule those who disagree with them, the audience should become much more skeptical. Attacking or ridiculing the opposing side should make the audience question whether the speaker is being honest or manipulating the facts. If they exaggerate and make extreme claims, they are more likely manipulating information, but if they defend a reasonable, well-qualified, moderate argument, they prove themselves to be much more trustworthy. Internal ethos also refers to other aspects of the argument's presentation, including how grammatically correct it is and how appropriate the language is. So be sure to proofread your own papers carefully and avoid conversational expressions. Finally, internal ethos blends in with the logos branch a little bit because it also includes demonstrating that the argument is based on credible evidence. If the speaker makes claims with no evidence, they're not basing their argument on logic or facts. But if they are pointing to scientific studies and or citing credible sources, then the audience can tell that the argument is based in some kind of truth. So, while Plato initially rejected rhetoric as being a way to manipulate others, Aristotle approached it in a much more ethical way. His system actually helps people guard themselves against such manipulation. If someone understands reason and logic, and they understand how a speaker builds credibility, then they can better evaluate the information they come across throughout their lives.